Good afternoon, folks. It is Saturday, the 11th of March 2023, and I am Sarah, and I'm joining you from Northern Ireland, and I hope that you enjoy what I have to share today. This is my channel, all about cross stitch and sometimes some other needlecrafts thrown in. Today I have a number of finishes to share with you, a little bit about my whips, and I'm going to share some plans, and we're going to talk about a kit SAL. So I hope that you'll grab a cuppa, grab your stitching, and sit down and relax with me for a little while this afternoon. Since last time, well, it's winter again here. I don't know what happened to spring, but it's winter. Let me see if I can show you. You see, we had 5 inches of snow just the other evening, which was joyous because it meant a snow day. And of course I had planned to work that day, so I was trying to work with Charlotte around my ankles, which is lots of fun, up against a deadline for the office, but hey ho, that's what parenting is. She enjoys the snow, she loves the thought of it, and the look of it, isn't so keen on how cold it is. So I think her efforts to go out and build a snowman and go sledging with Daddy were short-lived because it was just too cold. But anyway, I'm just more concerned actually about my lovely tree in the front garden, which had just started to bud. Admittedly, I think it's budding a little bit early, but we've had a very mild February and things seem to have been coming on a bit in the garden, and now I'm a little bit worried about the cold snap and what that will do to them. But I believe our temperatures are heading back up to around 9 degrees Celsius tomorrow. So this snow is probably not going to survive that. Most of it is actually gone. Anyway, it's just that it's very deep. For us, 5 inches is a lot of snow. We wouldn't normally get so much. So it's pretty deep, but it has already started to melt off the roofs and away from the siding of the fences where the heat is radiating more. So probably not much more melt today because I see the sun has now gone and it will get dark again soon enough. But if the temperatures are going up, there'll be a fast melt overnight and into tomorrow. So it'll be a wet, soggy day tomorrow. Anyway, yeah, spring, it appears, has been delayed for another little while. I want to thank you all so much for your engagement with the last video. I had a great response to the kit SAL idea. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I also had some of you share some more suggestions of Ada stitchers. So we were talking last time about fabrics, and I was saying about Ada and among other things, but we were talking about Ada stitching, and I had forgotten to mention some other floss tubers, or there were some I didn't know about, who are Ada stitchers too. So some of you kindly reminded me, so I'm going to share those with you because if Ada is your thing, or you want to be inspired by other Ada stitchers, you might want to take a look. I should have remembered to tell you about Laura, because I watch her every Friday when she posts, and Laura lives in Delaware now. She did used to live in Connecticut, but she moved a few months back down to Delaware in the US, and Laura is stitching by the shore, and she is mainly an Ada stitcher too, and she often shows quite a lot of the hand-dyed Adas. So if you're interested in the coloured Adas and the hand-dyed Adas, then go watch Laura because she has plenty of recommendations for you. And again, just more beautiful stitching, just to prove that you don't have to stitch on linen for your stitching to be gorgeous. 3 others that you guys recommended for me to share but I haven't actually watched yet or I'm not familiar with are 2 Needles Pulling Thread, the Virginia Stitcher, and Home Sweet Home Handmade. So if you are, as I said, if you are interested in inspiration on Ada stitching, then go and check out some of those channels too. And thank you to those of you who shared that. It's really nice for me to be able to pass that on to folks when I don't know these things myself. There was a great response to my discussion about kits, and it is fair to say. I think that the kit is far from dead. And there are new ways of kits being presented to us, like through the subscription boxes and things. So it's not all just your traditional Dimensions or DMC kits, but those are still in existence and still very much loved as well. And I love them too, some of them. So it was really heartening to read actually all of your responses, and really made me happy that so many of you are interested in getting your kit out and joining me in the Get Your Kit On SAL, which I'm planning to start in April. I'll give all the details of that again in just a moment or two. But if you are interested, you might want to scroll through some of the comments from last time, because lots of folks mentioned lots of different makers and brands of kits. And I think that will be the interesting thing when this SAL is up and running on Instagram, is to see the variety that's available. So this SAL is going to be a little bit different in that we're not all going to stitch the same thing. We're just all going to stitch on a kitted project. So a kit that, you know, something that you purchased as a kit. And if you are going to post on the Instagram feed, whenever that's up and running, it would be really helpful if you post the name of your kit and the maker designers, you know. So if it's a Kiss from Snowman and it's Dimensions Gold, Petite Gold collection, that means if someone else really likes it, they will know how to go and search for it. So I am looking forward to seeing the variety that's already been spoken about in the comments, and the things that you are going to bring into the kit SAL. So just for those, excuse me, yeah, I'm still having the throat issues. So for those who maybe didn't catch the last video, I am going to do a SAL. I'm going to start on the 10th of April, which is Easter Monday or thereabouts. I'm going to use the hashtag #GetYourKitOnSal, and this is a SAL for any kit. So I said last time it might be a traditional kit. You know, you buy it in the package with the threads and the fabric and the pattern and the needle all in there. It might be a subscription box. Noof, one of the viewers here, recommended the Fat Quarter Shop Stitch Quarterly box, and she said that is a great way to get kitted projects, really pretty ones. They're great for beginners too. So that was a great recommendation. Thank you for that also. I have had kits from the Historic Sampler Company. Well, they're actually called Cotton and Twine, but also from the Historic Sampler Company. They're both the same company, just different branding for different things. Yeah, so there are lots of new ways. There are Etsy sellers who are doing kits. There is the Mill Hill kits, the little ornament kits. There's Satsuma Street little ornament kits. I'm sure there are so many more that I don't even know about. Then you can have maybe a Linarta kit, which I believe have linen in them or can have linen in them. So there are choices of fabric available in some of the kits too. And of course you have Mill Hill, quite a lot of those will be on perforated paper. So if you have a kit that fits any of those kind of boundaries, you know, then you can stitch along with us. And I also want to tell you that you don't have to be doing a new start kit to participate in the SAL. If you already have a kit that is well underway as a WIP, go ahead and share it with us too. I may well hashtag pictures of the afternoon tea kit that I have already got underway, and just throw that into the mix to share kit ideas for folks. So as I'm stitching, I might do that. But of course I have a new start kit planned and I have been waiting for you guys to choose that for me. So last time we had a viewer's choice poll, and the choice was between the Winter Cottage or the Turquoise Teacups. And I want to thank you for participating in the little poll and just joining in the fun and helping me to choose a project. So there were 92 votes cast for one or other of the projects. 34 of those votes were for the cottage, and the remaining 58 were for the teacups. So the teacups is the winner, and the teacups are what I will be stitching on the 10th of April, and they will be my official first kit project for the Get Your Kit on SAL. So I'm not promising that it will be the only one or the last one. As I said, I'll bring in the afternoon tea, and I may well start this one later in the year and bring it into the SAL too. It's a SAL with no deadlines. It's a SAL just to have fun, stitch your kit, enjoy it, share your progress, and have a look at what everyone else is stitching too. So I hope that you are all getting ready and getting started. If you can't wait, don't worry, just go ahead and start, and you can share your pictures when the 10th of April comes in any case. Okay, I also then had a share away for this little kit, which is a 5-inch square kit. It's a Mill Hill kit, a Buttons and Beads Autumn series called Blessings, and it says on it, count your blessings. So if you were interested in winning this, you were to use the word count in your comment last time. And from all of the entries, then I did a random YouTube picker, and the winner is Janet Esser. So Janet, congratulations. If you would get in touch with me, either use the email in the drop-down box below, or you could contact me through Instagram by private message, and you can send me your mailing address, and I will get this in the post to you as soon as I can, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that it will make its way to you on time for the start of the SAL. But if not, join in when you can, and if you don't want to stitch this one as the SAL, that's okay too. You can use one of your other kits. No pressures, no obligations. But congratulations, I'm glad this kit is going to a good home and someone who wants to stitch on it. Okay, so I think that is everything related to the Get Your Kit on SAL. Thank you for your support and encouragement, and I look forward to seeing what we all have to bring to that party. Now, let me show you some stitching, which is what you've come for. Behind me today, I have a little stuffed pillow, and this is a previous finish. I've shown it before, but just because it's here, I'll show it to you again. So the backdrop changed as I took my Valentine's down at the beginning of the month. This is a Mother's Day pattern, so it's up because we have Mother's Day here in the UK next Sunday. And it's a Modern Folk embroidery freebie pattern. You will find it on their website in their free patterns section, and it's called Mother's Day. I keep wanting to call it I Love Mum, but it is actually called Mother's Day. I stitched this with a DMC variegated floss. So you can see there's quite a stark variegation in the floss, but I love it. And when I finished the little pillow, I just did a little blanket stitch around the edge rather than trim. Mainly because I know how to do blanket stitch and I don't know quite how to attach trim. So yeah, that is a skill I need to learn a little bit more about. Anyway, I just thought I would share that because you'll see it in the background and someone might be interested to know. If ever you see anything that you are not sure what it is, and I haven't mentioned it, don't mention it, please do be sure and ask, because I will always tell you if I can. Okay, I have been busy with fully finishing some things. I told you last time that I got in a bit of a bug, and I've been shopping for the finishing items for a few bits and pieces, and I actually worked on those finishes shortly after the last Flosstube, and I'm very happy with the results. What I wasn't quite so happy with was that when I went to my finished pile, things awaiting to be fully finished, I had 27 of them at the 1st of March, and I didn't like that number. That's too many unfinished projects. So I have pulled some more of my finished stitches in the hope of getting them to be fully finished items, but I haven't quite managed that. I have 4 to show you today, and then I have this little bundle of 10 pillows, little cushions and pillows, that are almost done. You can see they all need their bottoms sewn up and their gussets are showing. So they need to be stitched across the bottom, and then I need to decide whether I'm going to put trim on them. Most of them will not have trim on them, they will just be kept simple as they are. But there are a few that I think I would like to put some trim on, and I just need to decide what and how. So I'm hoping that maybe by the next video I will have those. And so there were 10 of those pulled. And if I could get that finished, then I will have reduced that number from 27 down to what, hopefully 13 then, if these 4 finishes plus the 10 little cushions. So that's making me sit easier. So yeah, it's a matter of getting the right kind of time to get at them, but I did work hard on pairing the fabrics and stitching them up into little pillows and that kind of thing. So anyway, enough waffle, let me show you what I did manage to get finished. So my first finish, and some of you will have seen these on Instagram already, but I haven't shown them here yet. My first fully finished piece is the Beehive sampler by Tiny Modernist. Sorry for the reflections. Is that slightly better going that way? That's better. This is a frame from the range. It's, I think, just plastic molded really, but I like this lattice type motif here, and the texture kind of reflects the little flower shapes that are up here. So I like this for this finish. This is a picture frame. Unfortunately, when I put it in, I don't have any room to put the backing back in again. So there's my lacing. And I should think to remind you from time to time that I do have a tutorial for lacing. It's a tutorial on finishing the little monthly, what were they called? I'm having a complete blank. They're from Crochet A Go-Go, and I did them as a SAL, La Finestra del Tempo, the little monthly pieces. And on those I showed how I lace. So if you're interested in seeing how I do my lacing, then you can see it there. Anyway, this had obviously a backing piece that goes in, and then you can use it to sit up as a picture frame or hang on the wall. But having removed the backing piece, this goes in. There isn't actually enough room to put it back in, which means I've got no hanging bits on here. So I am going to use this just to prop against the mantelpiece or something like that. So so at the moment I won't probably put any other hardware on it to make it hang. I think I could probably do something with command strips if I really wanted to, but I think I'm quite happy for it not to have wall space particularly, but just to set it up in a kind of little vignette area with a few more bee pieces when I get a few more bee pieces stitched. So this is Beehive Sampler by Tiny Modernist. I changed a few of the colours just to fit what flosses I had and what colours I wanted it to be, but most of it's the same. I have a feeling the original was maybe lavender, like a lilac-y lavender colour instead of pink, but most of everything else is pretty much the same, and those are DMCs that I used. My next finish is Easter Blooms by Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and I think I showed you last time that I had bought the egg-shaped piece wooden tray from Hobbycraft. And here is the finish. So I'm really, really pleased with this finish. I mean, it's far from perfect, but I'm very pleased with it. I have left it just as it comes. I wasn't sure whether I would paint this or not. I have left it just as it comes. I could always prize this out and paint it if I decide, but I actually quite like the natural look of the wood finish that's on it. As you can see, I put a piece of fabric covered board in the back, and this is just a gingham, Riley Blake gingham fabric. And I played with all sorts of colours. I played with pink gingham, I played with lavender gingham, I played with green, but I settled for yellow for Easter. And I'm really happy that I did. I know that a few of you have been searching for this tray and have been successful in finding it. So I hope that you also will enjoy having a stitch and finishing it in here. Just briefly, in order to make this the shape, to get the shape and the template, I wanted just to share with you how I did that, which was very, very simple. I have a few photos that I will insert over my speaking here. But basically I took an A4 sheet of paper and I placed it over the front and I pressed it down, and then I pressed it down in around the edges. So there'll be a photo here and you can see where I've pressed it down, and I've made sure that I pushed as far into the edges as I can. And then when I took it out, I kind of had the shape, but obviously I had the curled up edges. Sorry about that. There was a knock on the door. Anyway, as I was saying, I took the piece of paper, I pressed it in well, that gave me the shape. I was then able to draw a pencil line on the paper and cut that out and use that shape as my template. Now, it needed to be tidied up a little, so this is the actual piece that I was left with after I'd done all my pressing in and whatnot. But that was an easy way to get the template for the shape. Now, when I wanted to make this template just a little bit smaller, then I just tried to make it half an inch smaller than the original. So I had another template of this, and I tried to just come in half an inch, and I measured that in some areas and kind of connected the dots, really was what I did. So I'd measure a half an inch in here and a half an inch in here and a half an inch in here and put the dots, and then just try to make a line. And I think I didn't do too badly. So that's just in case you have it and were wondering, oh, what do I do now? I'm not saying it's the best way or the only way, but it's how I did it and it worked. Next, I have another finish in a frame. This one doesn't have glass, didn't come with glass. I'll show you what it originally looks like. Here it is. This is from the Range in the UK, and I bought mine in the Belfast store. It is a print already and it's not under glass. As you can see, it is set up for hanging vertically. And what that means is, because it's not a picture frame and because it's a print that's intended to be hung vertically, there is only the hardware for hanging vertically. So here's the hardware. It doesn't have any hardware for hanging horizontally, so I'm going to have to sort that out and get myself some hardware. But that's not such a big problem. Anyway, I used this piece to frame Gather here. This is from Liz, hello from Liz Mathews, and I'm really happy with it. It isn't how I originally intended mounting this piece. I had thought this would be nice on a piece of weathered wood or slightly whitewashed wood or something like that, but I just couldn't find a piece big enough, and I'm not artsy craftsy enough to be able to do that kind of thing for myself. But when I was shopping in the Range, I had taken the I go into the Range with 3 or 4 pieces of stitching, and I take them out of my little bag and I fold them over different things, and I'm sure the people in the shop think, what is she doing? Because we don't see very much of that here. But anyway, it has proved to be quite a good technique, and I've managed to find several nice pieces. So, albeit that this wasn't how I envisaged framing this piece, I do like it. I think that this silvery, there's kind of like a matte silver finish on the frame, and I think it works well with the silver grey of this Murano, I think it was, Murano. And I think it works well. So I need to get the hardware sorted out, and then it's going to hang up there on that wall there. Yeah, this is really weird. It's going to hang on this wall here, which is at the end of my dining room. So gather here with grateful hearts would be something that presides over us at the table. So this frame, just if you are interested, was I think about $12.99. Again, because it came with the print in it, I think that probably made it slightly more expensive than it would have been if it had just been an empty frame, because it's intended as a piece of wall art as it comes. But for this size of a piece, $12.99 for the frame was a pretty good deal, I thought. And my last fully finished piece is my biggest bargain and probably my favourite piece of all. I can't remember if I showed this to you last time, this piece, but this is a sign again from the range. I will insert a picture of how it looks when you purchase it. I have a feeling, and I can't be sure that I'm 100% sure that I'm right, but I have a feeling that this, as they sit on the shelf, if you flip through them, there's a couple of different sayings on them. I seem to remember there being one about money for shoes or something like that. Whereas this one talks about laughter and inappropriate humour, that kind of thing. Excuse me. So this is the whole princely sum of £3.99. It is a very basic wood finish, you can see. So it wouldn't be something that you would want perhaps for every piece of your stitching, but I love how the simplicity works with Hive Rules. Let me see if I can get it all in for you. So here we go. This is Hive Rules by Primrose Cottage Stitches. I stitched mine on 25 count Lugana, and so therefore mine has come out pretty big. If you stitch on 28 count or 32 count, then you would have more room than I have inside the frame. I don't think you would have too much by any stretch. As you can see, I'm pretty much right down to the bottom, and it's pretty close right up at the top as well. Now, it doesn't come with the honey dippers, but I had 2 honey dippers, and I had this little wooden leaf, which was, it was actually on a candle, tied with twine around a candle, handmade candle that my friend made and gifted to me. And the candle was done and I kept the leaf. So when I was looking through my box of little finishing fripperies, I came across the leaf and the twine, and I literally just tied them. Can you see? I literally just tied them together with the twine that was there. And then they are very officially stuck on the back with some washi tape. See? Again, this sign, because it was already an artwork, if you like, in itself, has hanging hardware for a vertical hang, or sorry, for a horizontal hang this time. And if I wanted to hang this, I would need it to put something up here, a piece of hardware up here, but I'm sure there are ways and means. This one is, however, just going to be propped against my fireplace when the time comes for me to display it. And I am so happy with this finish. It is so unassuming in some ways. You know, this is £3.99. It's not top quality pine or mahogany or whatever other wood you would have, oak. This is a basic wood, but I think my eye is all here, and I want it to stay here. I don't want it to come out, and I just like the simplicity, and I am quite pleased with my honey dippers. So I ordered these from Amazon, and they were about £1.50 each or something like that. They weren't very expensive. I ordered them some time ago with the view of using them somehow in the various bee stitching that I have. So this is how I've decided to use them, and I like that little touch at the top. So that is my fully finishing efforts for the last couple of weeks, and I'm very happy now that I've shown them to you. I can go and put them where they should be in my house and after I've found the hardware that I need. So it shouldn't really be too hard. There's just that bigger one to hang, and it has got space to put some little eyelets and cord in, so it should be easy enough. I have a finished stitch, which is very small. I did another one of Kathy Haberman's anniversary pieces. This one is called Love You. I'm not sure if I showed you the start of this. I'm not sure if I had started it the last time. This is another of Kathy's anniversary pieces that she puts out in February every year. The link that I put in the drop down below will take you to the page of her blog, which links all of the releases that she's had over the last number of years. So there's like 10 of them or maybe more. So this was the fourth one that I wanted to stitch this year, and I didn't use the colors that she used, but these are such small pieces, you can use what you like. I used this piece of linen, which is actually some curtain linen that was woven here in Ireland, and this curtain linen hangs in the White House in the US. Apparently President and Mrs. Obama chose these white linen curtains for some of the rooms in the White House. So the story goes. Anyway, I dyed it, I over dyed it, and it took the dye very well. It is not a cross stitch linen, therefore it is not even as our linens are, so it's a little bit uneven. So yeah, sizing in that might have been a little bit off if I decided to stitch something else on it, but it did stitch up beautifully, and it is a lovely piece. I do have something very unique going on down here. This little loop should be taller. I miscounted somewhere. Anyway, it's unique, as we say. I decided not to unpick it. The frog visited an awful lot this last couple of weeks. I do not know where my concentration is, and that's the truth. I'm just having that kind of period of time. So it felt like everything I stitched was 20 stitches forward, 18 stitches back, and I never really made the progress that I should have for the time I invested. But I think you get times like that. I just seem to be having a lot of them at the minute. So anybody like a frog, I'll send a few your way, because I have frogs to spare at the moment, is how it's going here. Anyway, that is my finish of Love You, and that will be hopefully another little Valentine ornament or cushion sometime next year. My daily thread is the next whip I want to show you, and my daily thread piece is the Real Comfort Jane Austen sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery. I am stitching mine as a daily thread piece, so every day that I stitch, my first stitching efforts are in this with one thread. So I will stitch one thread in this, then put it away and stitch whatever else it was I had planned. I started this on New Year's Eve, and I have put in a thread a day most days, or I've tried to catch up for any days that I missed, maybe by adding an extra thread or two here and there. I think since the last time, maybe I've come this side and started on these houses. again, a lot of frogging. I made the windows too wide or too high or whatever. I missed things. I was just, as I said, concentration gone awry. This is a 25 count DMC even weave in ecru, and the thread that I'm using is Licorice Red by Classic Colourworks. There is a little bit of variegation. I'm not seeing a huge amount. Sometimes I can see a little bit better than others. I don't know if it's just too subtle a variegated piece, or whether the one thread over one square on the 25 count is just taking away from that variegation, or I'm not quite sure. I had hoped there would be a little bit more, but regardless, it's a gorgeous colour of red and I am enjoying working with the threads. I have to finish this house, and then there's another little house just to finish that row. That will be this one here, and then we're down into the alphabets. I did mention, I think last time or maybe the time before, that I'm one stitch too high here. I missed a row in the bottom of this tree trunk. It should be down one stitch. So that means I've got an extra row in here. I know that I could and probably should just unpick this bottom row and bring it up one, but I'm not sure I'm going to. I'm going to have a look at the pattern for No Bird, the Jane Eyre. Sorry, I couldn't. I'm having trouble. I told you my concentration is just not good. So there's a modern folk embroidery piece, the Jane Eyre sampler called No Bird. I think that they're both the same size, and I want to keep them both the same size. So I'm still thinking that the best way to do this is to increase the line spacing in the alphabets just by one. It's so tiny, I'm not sure it will make a big difference, but again, I haven't fully decided, but I think there is scope. So we'll see. But it's a little bit more progress on that one. If you are stitching and want to share your pictures, I have a hashtag SMS Real Comfort SAL, and some folks have been sharing their versions of Real Comfort on there too, and it's nice to see the different fabrics chosen, the different thread colours chosen, the different sizes, the count, and it's just nice to be inspired by other people's stitching. Next up is the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Mystery SAL, that is the British Isles Adventure. Now I will show you the pic on my kit, but you can see it's all blurred out because it is a mystery SAL being released once a month from the 26th of January to the 26th of June. So we have now two releases have been issued, and I have finished stitching the second part. So here she is. I'm sorry I didn't get time to iron everything today, so this one is better than the ones that have to come. So there's quite a lot of wrinkles today. So the first part finished up here. So then we moved south and inland, and we have a football, a soccer ball, which represents the sort of Manchester, Liverpool areas of England and the popularity of football in that area, and I guess in the country as a whole, but it seemed appropriate for the Caterpillar Cross Stitch team or Sally to add the football symbol in there. And then to the west we come down into Wales, and you have this lovely little lady in her Welsh dress, traditional Welsh dress, and then the football signifying how passionate Wales are about their, sorry, this is not a football. This is a rugby ball, as you well know. So we have the rugby ball signifying the passion that the Welsh have for their sport, their rugby. And then we have the Welsh national flower, the daffodil, which I love to see daffodils at this time of year. They're just such a welcome, bright sign of spring, the promise of spring coming. And then we have the dragon. Now the Welsh dragon is usually red. In the SAL, they've used a deep pink thread, but it's the red dragon of Wales. And it is known that this dragon emblem was adopted in around the 5th century, which is a long, long time ago, by some of the Welsh kings. So back then, the regions of Wales and Scotland and Ireland, they would have had like local kings, as it were, so different little regional kings. And this was a symbol adopted by one of those Welsh kings, and has kind of just remained. It's a symbol of authority and power, of fierce Gaelic sentiment. So that was Wales. And then over here, this bull is an emblem of the bull ring, which is in Birmingham. Birmingham is in an area of England known as the Midlands. So you have this middle land of England known as the Midlands, and Birmingham is one of the main cities there. And the bull ring is, as I believe, I'm not 100% on this, but as I believe, the bull ring is now a prominent shopping area in the Midlands, but with historical significance. So it is an area that has been the marketplace, the trading centre of Birmingham since medieval times. So way back in 1166, it is believed that the bull ring was opened, and the name the bull ring, although this was an area where market traders came and traded their wares, there was also then an actual ring that a bull was tied to for bull baiting. Now this is not something we probably, we don't encourage it today because of the inhumanity of it, but it was a sport. Historically these things did happen. So there was bull baiting, and the bull would have been tied to that and baited by dogs probably. And it was a sport. And I imagine that, the market and the commerce, how back in those times, going to market would have been a big event, a big occasion. People had to go, they had to sell their wares, they had to make money and make the income. But they had to travel quite far to do that, and they had to walk most of the ways to do that. So it was such a big deal that when they got there, there was almost a kind of carnival-like atmosphere as well. So there were games and things happening. So the bull baiting would have been part of that. So I'm not a historian, so please, feel free to correct me if I'm horribly wrong, but that would be my basic understanding of it. That, when you came to market, it was a big deal, and you came and your family came, and it was important because you needed the income, you needed the livelihood from it. But it was also made into a bit of an occasion. So that is what the bull ring is today. The bull ring is a major shopping area. I believe there's a big transport hub in that area as well. So this is obviously this is the bull's head, and this building is the bull ring as part of it is today, which is quite. If you Google it, you'll see it's quite an iconic building. It's very recognisable if you're from the area. So that's what this symbolises. It's not that it's a polka dot bull. Up here, there is a bow and arrow. I can't be sure exactly why Caterpillar Cross Stitch have included that, except as a mark of, as a nod to the different kind of battles that there were in England and in the history of England. There were Battle of Bosworth Field and all those kinds of things that we would have learned about in school. So I'm imagining that is the nod to some of that history of England. Coming over into the east, we have East Anglia and Norfolk, and the Windmill is something you will see quite commonly in that area. It's very flat land, so the wind's swept in from the sea straight across. A little bit like over, across the sea from here, you will find the Netherlands, so also flat land and windmills. So this is part of the heritage of that Norfolk, East Anglia area. And then we come down and we're heading London, and we have the Grand Palace of Buckingham Palace. And that is the official royal residence of the reigning monarch, currently King Charles III, and of course previously his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, and their ancestors too. So the little fact that came on the Caterpillar cross-stitch email was that apparently there are 1,500 doors in Buckingham Palace. So that's a lot of doors to slam when you're in a bad mood, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. That is the progress with the Caterpillar cross-stitch British Isles Mystery SAL. So I'm hoping that we're going to continue south down into the southeast of England, and then out here over into Cornwall and Devon and down to the bottom coast. So I imagine those are the areas that will be covered in the next piece, but I could be wrong. They might surprise us and go north up into Scotland. So we shall see. I am now beginning to wonder if I have missed a piece of land, the land boundary. I'm beginning to wonder if I've missed it up here, or maybe it hasn't been released yet. I might need to sort that out. Now, let's see, curiosity is going to kill me, so I'm going to have to look at the patterns. I can't just go on until I've checked this out. No, I haven't. It hasn't been added just yet. So there's a tiny, tiny piece on the top of the kilt, just up there, and I have stitched it in. They haven't added the other bits in yet. So that's okay. I just suddenly had that thought that I'd missed a piece, but not so far. I've missed everything else. I've miscounted everything else in the last couple of weeks. So it would be quite entirely possible that I've missed a whole land boundary. Okay, that is the Caterpillar Cross Stitch SAL. Oh, and just to say that on this SAL, in the Caterpillar Cross Stitch Stitch Alongs page, on their Facebook Stitch Alongs page, it's been really interesting, and on Instagram too, to see the different modifications that folks have made of the pattern. I think because this is a map and it represents the country, it represents something that people know. So a lot of folks who live more locally to those areas are finding ways of adapting. So they maybe take one element out and put another element in. So for example, just as a small example, some folks changed the tartan because they maybe have a family tartan and they changed the tartan colours. Some other folks changed this football because they're not fans, that doesn't have big significance to them, but this is intended to represent the Manchester area. So there is an emblem for Manchester, which is a bee, a busy worker bee, a bee of industry, which is an emblem that Manchester has. So some folks have stitched in their own bee in there. So the design does allow you to, if you've got something that you want to switch in, you could quite easily do that. And folks are making some of those changes. And it's not because they dislike the pattern, it's actually because they love what this whole thing is going to mean, and they're just trying to make it their own, and they're using the wonderful basis that Sally and the team are providing to do that. So it's really nice to see some of those little alterations that folks are making and adjustments just to personalize it that little bit more for them. I don't intend necessarily to do that, but I'll see perhaps whenever the chart section for Northern Ireland and Ireland is released, there might be something that I feel I want to include in that that isn't on the pattern or something. I don't know, but it's such a nice open pattern that you can make a little emblem and motif substitutions. So that's good to see. Okay. Moving on to another SAL. This is my SAL with Joanita of Stitchy Things and many of others of you on Instagram, and this is Rejoice Evermore. This is Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. This is the Rejoice Evermore chart. I've not made quite the progress that I wanted to make on this, but I've made some. Last night I was trying my best to do some catch-up stitching. And of course, I was happily stitching along. I did a lovely length of this satin stitch and then discovered I had chosen completely the wrong colour of thread. So I really should learn to check the pattern, check the picture on the pattern, as well as my ability to read the chart, the key on the chart. Anyway, this is where I have reached so far. So page 1 of the chart stops kind of coming down around about here somewhere. So I have just moved over so that I could finish some of these little motifs. These leaves will get filled in. I am hoping to do that tonight when I'm on a Zoom call with Angie and Marie and friends in the Stitch Across the Pond Stitch and Chat. Across the Pond Stitch and Chat Zoom tonight. Should get the name right. And then there's a single row of cross stitch goes underneath here. So I think that will also be a nice easy one to do tonight hopefully without attracting any frogs whatsoever, because I've had enough frogs. So that's where I am. I'm stitching this on 32 count linen. It's a Zweigart Platinum linen, one of the Zweigart's own colours. And I am stitching with all of the called for flosses, and I'm stitching 1/2. I picked up the Buzzy string, which is one of the Lizzie Kate seasonal strings. Again, I have a little hashtag for this. If you are stitching any of the Lizzie Kate strings, you could post them, share them if you like, on SMS Strings SAL. Hashtag SMS Strings SAL. Lots of S's in there, just watch how many S's you put in. So there's more than one string, so there's strings and then SAL, okay? So I have stitched Snowy String and Spring String, and I'm on Buzzy String. Now, I started it a while ago and then I didn't pick it up again. These are quick when you are stitching them. I am stitching this one on a piece of 32 count linen. It is hand dyed by Country Stitch in New Zealand, and the colour is Cowrie, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's not going to show up as it should on here. It's a lovely warm colour with very soft modelling. Very soft and beautiful. Anyway, here is where I've got to with stitching. I made an amendment just to the flag because the flag is the lovely Stars and Stripes, but I'm not American, so I chose to change that to the Union flag, and it's so pretty. These do stitch up very quickly. Yeah, I think I spent about an hour one evening and I did half of it, maybe even slightly more than half of what I've stitched here. I did that in about an hour, and I'm not a particularly fast stitcher, I don't think. So it's just a matter of picking it up. It would, I could finish it this afternoon if I picked it up and just sat with it, but I won't, because there's about a million other things to do. Anyway, that is a little bit of progress on Buzzy String. I am mostly using the called for DMCs. well, the listed DMCs. I think she actually used Weeks Dye Works, but there are DMC conversions given, so I'm using most of those DMCs. A couple of them I have substituted maybe one number up or one number down because I didn't have them in my stash. And you need so little of the colours really for this chart, these strings charts, that you don't need to go and buy whole new skeins for them. You certainly do not need to go and buy 10 skeins for a piece that is an inch high, an inch and a half high. So, but that is a nice thing because you can use up plenty of your leftovers from other projects. That is all of the whips. I then have one piece which was a new start and I'm trying to get done. This is the Home Sweet Home pattern by, sorry, Home Tweet Home pattern by Primrose Cottage Stitches. And I am stitching this as a gift and I am making some modification to it. So I have changed the colours a little bit. I am stitching the design and then I'm going to add some wording to this side of the design as well. So this is where I've got to so far, and I'm not going to give too much away by showing you the wording so far. I haven't changed anything about the original design other than just placement of colours. I still have all the little flowers to add on to the branches. You can see there, all those little flowers have to be added on. And then I've started my wording over on the other side. I have the base of this birdhouse to do and fill in the little hole, and then there's a little white heart here as well, and then this little bird needs his legs and his eye. So this is a 40 count, so this is my second piece on 40 count, and this is 40 count platinum linen from 123 Stitch. I have been finding this one, funnily enough, a little bit easier to work on than the mallow that I did the previous little pillow that I was doing on 40 count. I find this one just a little bit easier, and I have been able to do this one in hand. So whether it's just easier because I'm getting used to it or easier because of the fabric is maybe different, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm so happy with how it looks. Look at the coverage on that. That is one thread over two. Isn't it lovely? And I'm using DMC threads for these. Okay, that is all of my stitching. And I think that it's more than I thought, especially given that everything has been stitched and restitched or stitched and unpicked at some point. So yeah, it's progress. It's all progress, and maybe it's not what I entirely had planned or intended, but it is progress, and I am just trying to enjoy what I can achieve. I also was, see, this is the problem. I've been fiddling around. So I've been fiddling around with finishing, and then I fiddled around and I made some ring bling. So I made some floss rings. I've never really tried anything like this. And I used the wonderful tutorial by Michelle from Mama Loves You GB. And I made a selection of little floss rings as gifts, really. So these will leave me at some point, but thanks to Michelle, this was a nice relaxing little crafty afternoon. So I should have been stitching, but you know. That's just a selection I did make. I had a pack of about 20 of the cabochons, these little glass domed things with their little silver keepers. So I made a selection of them. That's just a few to show you. Yes, as I said, I've been a bit flighty. My concentration hasn't been all that it should be, but the end result is that I have now some lovely cabochon ring floss ring gifts to give to folks. So thank you to Michelle for the wonderful tutorial. I didn't think I would ever be able to make something like that, but there you go. Thanks to Michelle's great instructions. I have a nice little collection. So my plans are that I feel like I need to catch up on some of my other WIPs, like A Saviour's Praise and the Family Patchwork and Alice in Wonderland. And I think the problem is that my Sweet 16 board at the moment is all biggish projects. You know, they're big to me. And I think that that just makes it feel like I'm not making as much progress as I might be. But that and the fact that I'm just flighty at the moment. So it would be nice if I could make some inroads into those projects again, and keep those burning and ticking along. I want to finish up all those little cushions that are sort of almost there but not quite. So that is another plan, and I've got my Zoom tonight, so if you are going to be on the Zoom tonight, I hope to see you there. That is the Stitch Across the Pond Zoom, hosted by Angie, the Tiny House Stitcher, and Marie from Stitches and Diamonds. I look forward to that every month. I have enjoyed it every month so far, and I'm looking forward again to stitching along and seeing what everyone is up to tonight. I will be stitching and filling in the leaves on my Rejoice Evermore SAL. The only other thing that I haven't talked about is market, needlework market. So did you get caught up in the excitement of market? I think it's very hard not to. It could be love it or loathe it. Maybe you're sick hearing about it, but it is very hard not to get caught up in the excitement of all the new releases and in the excitement of designers getting together and sharing and having the community that they need as designers. I think it's probably a really valuable time for them, not just in terms of getting their designs into stores and getting purchases and invoicing and keeping their bills being paid, but also a time of coming together with like-minded creatives, and that just really helps to spur you on, I think, especially when that kind of career can be quite isolated. You can sit in your house and design on your software and send your patterns out to be printed or send them out as purchased PDFs and really not make contact with a lot of other folks. So I think that market is a really wonderful way for those designers to come together and get together, be together and share some creative time. I know it's a really busy time and they don't have a lot of time together, but I'm sure that if you were to ask them, many of them would be able to point out the benefits of that. So it's lovely to see them have the time that they need, even though some of us might be jealous that we can't go along to market too. Personally, I am not a bit phased about the idea of not having to stand in a queue for things, but it is exciting. It is an exciting time to see all of the new releases and what is coming our way. So I did get very, very, very tempted by one pattern. So I tried not to look at everything, but it's very hard to not see. But everything, beautiful as it was, there was nothing really calling to me until this one pattern. And I will have it at some stage. It's just a matter of time. Will I be able to hold off, or will I break and get it? I may just break and get it soon. So especially because here in the UK, if they come in after market at all to a UK store, you're kind of better to get it straight away because you don't see it again for a long time after that. But we'll see. So I just have that one temptation, but I know that a lot of folks are trying to be good and trying to minimize their purchasing, and then they're just throwing caution to the wind anyway. So I may well join that. But I do only want to buy the one if I'm going to buy it, and that will still be okay because that's still a minimal purchase, and I haven't purchased anything at all since well before Christmas. So anyway, we'll see how long I can hold out for. So tell me in the comments, tell me what you've loved about the market releases. Is there something that really appeals to you, or are you still happily stitching on last year's market releases and not so tempted by anything this year? I can't imagine that being the case, but if you are, then good for you, good for you. So yeah, so that's what we could chat about today in the comments. Let me know what market releases you've loved seeing. I think that I have blethered on enough today, and I will leave you because I've got a million things to get to, and I have to try and get this video uploaded on a Saturday, which I always try to avoid because the internet is so busy on the weekends and the upload's even slower than usual. But hey ho, here we are, and I need to go get uploaded. So I hope that this video comes to you and that you are well. I hope that you will stay well, and I hope that you will stitch happy. Goodbye, folks.